Hi guys, it's Sophie. So today I'm going to be doing my birthday book haul. So my birthday was at the very end of February and I got some books and I bought some books for myself and I received a couple of books and overall there's just a big pile of books that I need to haul for you. So I'm really excited to be able to go through those. I hope they're all going to be really good fun. But just before I jumped in, I actually wanted to comment back a little bit on the last video I filmed where I did a discussion about reviewing problematic content. I haven't had a chance to go through all the comments as of yet, but I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for how intelligently and I don't know how in depth your response was to that video. An awful lot of people took a lot of time writing out comments. I've had messages on my email, on my Goodreads, like direct messages. I've had so much from that and people have clearly taken a really good amount of time thinking about it and responding to it, and that's absolutely brilliant. I've also been really impressed with the dialogue that's going on in the comments of those videos and just how respectful people are being to one another when they have different views. I've not seen any all out fights back and forth. I just think that's great. It's been far better received than I thought it would be, and I'm glad that you guys thought it was a valuable discussion as well. Now, all of that said, I will jump into my haul, which I know is what you're here for today. Now, the first one I have is Beloved by Toni Morrison. So you guys might remember that I read The Bluest Eye last year, yeah, toward the end of last year. And it was one of the books I read in the entire year that just hit me really hard. The writing was just absolutely gorgeous and so vital. Every piece of it felt so vital, and I just really wanted to get another one. Now, Beloved is more historical. I think it's 1800s, mid 1800s, and it does focus on slavery, and it focuses on one mother, and the mother has lost her daughter, and I believe it's about the mother and her daughter. I don't know all that much about it bar that, but I know this is the one that everyone says is sort of the most popular, or says is the best, and I was just really keen to get on with more of her work, having so enjoyed the last bit of hers I read. And the next one I have is We Need New Names by NoViolet Bulawayo. Now, this one I had heard on a list of books to read about immigration. I can't remember who put it together, I'm really sorry, but I'd seen it and been interested in sort of finding out a little bit more about it. It's essentially a story of immigration told through the eyes of a 10-year-old girl, and about almost this really modern depiction of what an immigration experience is actually like. And I don't know, I think the title's really clever as well. We Need New Names. It's kind of funny and also really sad. Because it seems like something that you why would you need another name, but then you kind of realise actually you probably do, because people are going to be like I do, stumble over your name. But yeah, so we'll see how I get on with this one, but I am hoping that this one is a good one for the book with a central immigration narrative that is one of my read harder challenges, so we'll see how I get on with this one. And then the next one I have is The Gardener's Son by Cormac McCarty. So you guys probably know that I read a lot of Cormac McCarty last year. This one is actually a screenplay. I love this cover. I really do like the editions I have of these. I think they're gorgeous. I really like the spines and how they all match really nicely. But yeah, this is really short. I think I might sit down with this one today. I've been kind of saving it for a rainy day where I need a bit of a pick up, because I know I'm going to love it because it's McCarthy. So yeah, I think I may read this one really shortly. But I don't know anything about it other than that it's just his and it's a screenplay, but I'm sure that's enough to sell it to people who've read other stuff of his books. Now, the next one I have is All the Birds Singing by Evie, Wyld, and I've heard this one sort of chatted about a lot on BookTube, just in terms of buzz. I just felt a lot of buzz around it. Whenever I'm kind of interested in stuff, I try and skip over any reviews or any in-depth analysis of the book, because I like to try and figure it out for myself. But yeah, I've heard a lot of hype around this one. I'm going to read you the inside flat because I think it's put really well, and I don't think I'm going to do it justice trying to reword it myself. It says, Jake White is the sole resident of an old farmhouse on an unnamed British island, a place of ceaseless rains and battering winds. It's just her untamed companion, dog, and a flock of sheep, which is how she wanted it to be. But something is coming for the sheep. Every few nights it picks one off, leaves it in rags. And I always really like really rural stories anyway. I mean, this sounds like it's kind of creepy and like you aren't really sure what's going on in isolation. It does just sound like disturbing, but really good. And I think this is one I am hopefully going to really like. I know lots of people have, like when I took a picture on Instagram, I think some people commented and said like, oh, you're going to love that. So yeah, this is one like I am really hyped for, but I think I'm probably going to save it for a bit until I know I need something good. That sounds a bit weird, but when I think I'm going to really enjoy a book, sometimes I'll save it so that if I'm having like a bit of a reading slump, or if I'm having a couple books that are harder going, I can pick it up and I kind of expect to love it. So I think I might save this one just because I think I'm going to enjoy it so much, rather than gobbling up all the ones that I know I'm going to love first. And the next one I have is The Transmigration of Bodies by Yuri Herrara. Now, I haven't read any Yuri Herrara, though I do actually own the other novel of his that's downstairs. Oh my goodness, I can't remember what it's called. I was trying to find out what it's called. I don't know. I'm really sorry, I actually can't remember what it's called. If I can remember, I'll put it up in like a comment somewhere. But anyway, I own both. Because again, this is something I've heard like chatted about a lot, and I really do think I'm going to enjoy it. So this one is sort of about like kind of gang violence, and it's supposed to be really dark, really like noir, and it's also like, I don't know, like the kind of people who've read it and really liked it, I really trust their opinion on it. So again, it's one I think I'm going to really love. I'm going away actually this month. I will maybe chat about that in my next weekend's video, but this is probably going to be one of the ones I take away with me. I think it would be like a nice little short one to read like in the evenings, so I'll see how I get on with it. And then the next one I bought after I saw a trailer for it actually, because I thought it looked fantastic, and it said that it was based on a play, and I was like, great, because then I can read it and then I can watch it later. That is Fences by August Wilson. Now if you haven't seen the trailer, I'm going to link it down below because I think it looks fabulous. It's sort of about this like relatively poor family who are just working really hard to try and stay together, and working really hard to like build the best lives they can, and all the tensions and all the sacrifices and all the things that you have to do to survive. And kind of talking about like how harsh that life can be, like even if day to day it isn't like so violent, it isn't so you know, all consuming, but it still is like this relentless hardship. And yeah, I just really want to read this one. It's another one I think I'm going to read in like a rainy afternoon, and I really think I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm hoping I can read it soon so then I can watch the movie, because the movie's out at the moment, so I really do want to go and see it as soon as I can. And the next one I have I'm really excited to get to, and that one is Things We Lost in the Fire by Mariana and Enriquez. I was really kindly sent this one for review by Granta, so like thank you for that. And it's another one that's sort of around gang stuff, and I have been weirdly like watching and listening to some stuff around gangs recently, and it's just something that I've got this like little underlying interest in at the moment. You guys probably know that I do that, so when I saw this one on the catalogue, I was really keen to get hold of it. And this is essentially about there's this child who's described as like a dirty kid, so this sort of like semi-feral street kid who lives with his mother in this really downtrodden gang-controlled area, and everyone sort of knows that they're like on the streets and that their lives are really pretty rough, and suddenly the mother and the boy completely disappear. They just vanish one day, and sometime afterwards the body of a little boy is found really gruesomely murdered, and they're not really sure if it's like a gang murder or if something else has happened to the kid, or someone else has got some motive to hurt him, and they're trying to figure out like if this is the kid, and if it is the kid, where's the mum? Like what role does she play? Is she guilty of hurting her kid? Should she have done something different? Is she a victim? Is her body somewhere? And I just think it sounds so interesting, and like this is another one I'm like dying to get to, and I don't know how long I'm gonna hold this one for. I may do like a sounds really pleasant, doesn't it? But like a little few gang books all at once. But yeah, I'm really excited to get into this one, and I've not really heard much about it before, so yeah, if this is the first time hearing it, then you know, keep your eyes peeled. And the last one I have for fiction is a massive chunker. It's 4321 by Paul Auster, and I just wanted like another good big book to go through. I really like massive books, and this one is huge. It's 866 pages, sorry, and it's hardback and it's tall. So this is a properly big, meaty book. But it sounds brilliant, and I'd been eyeing it on like social media as soon as I saw it. I actually bought it on release date, and I bought a copy for my stepdad because I think he might really like it as well. And the reason why this sort of appealed to me mostly was because it reminds me a little bit of Life After Life by Kate Atkinson, in that this book is following 4 alternate narratives of the same person's life, like almost simultaneously. Let's have a quick peek at the inside jacket. Yes, it says 4 Fergusons who are made of the same genetic material. 4 boys who are the same boy go on to lead 4 parallel and entirely different lives. And I know that this novelist is supposed to be like a fairly powerful novelist. Now, I've not read anything else that he's read, but this is obviously being touted as like this is the masterpiece of his work. But I just think the story sounded fantastic, and I love like alternate narrative stuff. I think about that just a lot, just anyway. And yeah, I think if it's well done, I'm really going to enjoy this one. It's also I love the cover design. I think it's so clever and just so pretty and gorgeous, like as an item. Very unfortunately, mine is ripped in the top corner. Go Amazon. Not like I paid a lot of money to get this massive book delivered to me, but whatever. I'm going to try not to be bitter about it. But yeah, so to be honest, I don't know when I'm going to get around to this one. I may end up doing it as like a week off read, but I am excited to get to it and have another like big chunky book to get my teeth into. So then we have got some non-fiction as well. Sorry if this is going to be really long. I feel like I've been rambling for a really long time, but hopefully it's enjoyable anyway. So the first non-fiction I have is Strangers Drowning by Larissa MacFarquhar. And this is one that I think I was suggested by a subscriber in one of my videos. I talked about a book called Justice by Michael J. Sandel. Now, this again looks at morality, but looks at some really extreme cases. And this looks at people who are, I guess you describe them as like extreme altruists. So people who do things like donate their kidney or give away all their money to charity, and who put themselves in dangerous or uncertain positions personally for the sake of someone they don't know. And it kind of talks about how we can learn about sort of everyday morality through these case studies of extreme morality. And I think this sort of sounds really interesting. It's sort of repairing to justice for me. And yeah, it's one I really do want to try and get to soon. I do want to try and get to this one soon because I'm still so fresh with Justice. I think if I left it for like a few months, I probably would not get as much of it out of it as I want to. So yeah, I'm really excited for this one. I think it sounds like great fun and something to sort of chat about as well, which is always good. And the next one I have is another one that I just think sounds fascinating, and it is Deceit and Self-Deception by Robert Trivers. And this talks about all the ways in which we lie to each other and to ourselves, and all the ways in which deceit and like dishonesty and all of the things we think of as like negative things, like how they arise in our lives, what impact do they have, how do we do it, like how all the different ways we deceive, like what levels, like personal deception, like deception of a group, deception of like a country or a state. I think that sounds fascinating. So I'm really interested to get to this one, and I feel at the moment like my non-fiction is just spiralling off into like little interest trails, but I am quite enjoying it. But I feel like this might be another one. I might end up doing like all of these big concepts in non-fiction, but you know, I'm actually kind of okay with that. Yeah, so this is one I really want to try and get to soon. The non-fiction is stuff that, because I'm interested in it and it feels like it's like a learning thing, I tend to give myself more permission to go straight for my hauls. But yeah, so we'll see how I get on with that one. Now the next one is one that I picked up, even though I have actually read it already, but I really enjoyed it. I listened to an audiobook actually, but I like to have the books that I read, especially when I do enjoy them. And that one is Between the Wyld and Me by Ta-Nehisi, and I've wanted to pick this one up for a while, and just hadn't got around to it, but I really did love it. I read it last year, and yeah, I just really wanted to have a copy of it, like physically. It also felt like it was the kind of thing where like you should really write notes through it. Like I thought that when I was listening to it, so it's probably going to be one that I will reread at some stage in future and note up. And then the very last one I have is another one that I kind of picked up that's kind of like one of these contrary books where I don't necessarily agree with the title or the concept, and I'm having a shot. And that one is Against Elections, The Case for Democracy by David Reybrouck. And the cover wasn't originally like this because I've actually picked this book up before, but I just love Trump's little scowly eyes at the bottom. I think that's the funniest thing. It's really, really funnily cropped. And I think it's a much more appealing cover than the first one was, so, you know, good job, guys. But yeah, so I'm interested to get into this one. This is taking the idea of democracy and stripping it back to its like elemental, like classical roots, where you'd have people like almost volunteer for like positions in government. You didn't have to like go through, I guess, all of the political party stuff. It was a bit more open. From my understanding, I only did classics and Latin at school. I haven't like studied it to any great degree, but that's kind of what I remember from it. And this book is talking about why they think elections in themselves are against the idea of democracy and detrimental to it. I don't agree with that at the moment, but we'll see what I think when I get around to it. Yeah, it's another one that I think is going to be fun to explore, and I'm going to try and do that more often, especially given the majority of the content that I had underneath my discussion video on problematic books or books I disagree with, which was great. So yeah, we're gonna have fun with pretending that we don't need to vote for anything. So that was a lot of books. As I say, some of those books I bought for myself, some of those books I have bought for me, which was lovely, and I have so many books now. Like I'm nearly at the stage where I'm needing to think about like book buying bans and all of that sort of thing, and to be honest, I may well have to actually do that because the Man Booker International is coming up soon, whoop whoop, and the Man Booker is coming up in the summer, double whoop whoop. And to be honest, they're going to be 14 odd books each, and that's probably like taking me up to a fairly high number of books now. So don't be surprised if you don't have so many hauls. I always say this, but don't be surprised if you don't have so many hauls from me. Upcoming, there'll be Man Booker hauls. But I'm going to keep trying to do my TBRs and like recycle the books I'm buying, as in like, go back to the ones I've bought historically. And try and get those out of my collection and actually read, and that will be my next video. Actually, it will be my next TBR because I've nearly finished the one that I set myself last time. So yeah, hopefully you're all well. Hopefully this has been fun to watch me showing you all the stuff I've gathered. Yeah, and tell me what, if any of those interest you, and what, if any, would you like to pick up. Thank you all ever so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.